How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back to an F1 Manager 22 video, and today we're going to go through the staff. So this is going to be all to do with the staff management, how you can keep on top of them, and what to expect when you dive into the world of Formula 1 Manager, because it's not just about the team, remember, as in the drivers and the cars, it's also about everybody else within the whole team. So we're going to come across here to the staff page at the very bottom. You can see just over here, just in between drivers and facilities. Now, the first person you'll see is your technical chief. And your technical chief is the head of all technical car development for your team. They lend their expertise to the mechanical design of all car parts. So at Red Bull, we have Pierre Wash. Sorry if I get the name wrong. And believe it or not, you do get performance ratings, and they do have attributes which you can gain development points for throughout the season. So, for example, Pierre has 83 out of 100 on the chassis, 81 front wing, 87 rear wing, 81 side pods, 85 underfloor, and 82 suspension. So you can see, he's not too great at lending his expertise to the side pods on the front wing, but he's very good when it comes to the rear wing, and solid with the underfloor, etc., etc. So you can see they also get a bonus from the facilities. So that kind of helps them with their morale, because if you go back to Pierre, his overall sort of look, he's got morale okay. So I probably need to invest in better staff facilities to boost his morale. We then go on to the head of Aerodynamics, which is the head of aerodynamic design for your team. They lend their expertise and quality control to the design of all aerodynamic car parts. So you'll see here, again, very similar in terms of development points. They have stats and ratings in certain areas. So cooling, DRS delta, high speed, medium speed, low speed, drag reduction, airflow, and airflow sensitivity, or management and sensitivity. You can see here, really, really good. He's got 90 in drag reduction, 92 in DRS. So that kind of helps there as well. You can see the contracts as well. So you can see their salaries. I don't know how, if these are realistic. Maybe Enrico is on 4.4 mil a year. I genuinely have no idea. But you can see the morale. Again, if you want to break the contract and get rid of him, you can do. If you want to renew it, you can. Again, you can see their sort of patience and their negotiation attitude. You can also scout a replacement. Now, there's different ways of doing this. You could go for the overall rating. You could look to bring in someone who's young. For example, Lisa Conway is the lowest person in terms of age, 71 reasonable rating. If I was doing it, personally, I'd probably be looking just to go for the high ratings, especially if you're in the very solid teams like Red Bull. You've got Ferrari here, 90 rated, 88 rated at Red Bull. You've got, who's this, Mercedes, 83, etc., etc., etc. You could pick out other people, maybe poach some staff from elsewhere. You've also got race engineers. You have two of those because you have, yes, believe it or not just two engineers, but two drivers. So you can see who they're paired with as well. The main contact for the drivers during the race. They also relay feedback on the car setup in practice sessions and communicate with the pit crew. Now, the practice session feedback is a huge, huge part of setting up your car as well. And you'll see here, Lambiase has 92 feedback. So when I've got Verstappen going out in practice, FP1, 2, and 3, I'm able to fine-tune the car at a much quicker rate than Sergio Perez's car, because if we hop over to Hugh Bird, he actually has 97 feedback, so what I've just said is totally wrong. Yes, ignore me. So 97 feedback here. So having high feedback is fantastic for fine-tuning your car during the practice session, getting them kind of in the areas that the drivers are most favourable with. If you haven't seen my car setup video as well, do go and check that out on the channel. That will kind of link up with this. You've got communication, which is actually really poor here. Able to communicate clearly and effectively. A higher rating means faster affinity growth between the engineer and their paired driver. So if they've got really good communication, they're going to be really, really good together. They're going to gel and have a great time. The pit crew management as well is the ability to effectively communicate with and prepare the pit crew during a race. So you want faster pit stops if they've got good pit crew management with that driver. And then you also, you want to have that high as well, which is great. So you get slightly faster pit stops on Verstappen, for example, as opposed to Perez. Also, you have an engineering team. So these are the guys and girls at the factory, as Lewis and George would always say, that will be building the parts to your car. So you can shrink the team size. It doesn't really seem to be much point in that. You do save money on the salary, but you're going to lose engineers. not much point in changing that. You can select and look at your assigned engineers as well. So currently I have, I think, no engineers assigned to the manufacturer. However, with the design, I've got 5 engineers on a rear wing and 3 engineers on the side pods. You can see how they're getting on as well there, which is great. You can see the monthly salaries, how many engineers you've got as well. Scouting team as well. Now, scouts, you can choose how many you want. We linked that in with the facilities management video before as well. So you can check that out. More scouts, you can scout more people. Now, the pit crew. Now, this is really interesting because the pit crew at Red Bull, in my eyes, are probably the best on the grid. Always getting the fastest pit stops. Very rare that you see, you know, a long pit stop at Red Bull. They do have the odd one, don't get me wrong, but they seem quite low rated for this. I don't know what the other teams are rated, but yeah, you can basically choose a training focus. You can choose to go front and rear jacks, tyre changes, wing adjustment, or car release. Now, I've just stuck it on balance because I kind of want them to bring everything up at the same time. It depends what you want. So the front and rear jacks improves the speed of jacking the car up during a pit stop, reducing the likelihood of jack mistakes. Jack delays have a moderate likelihood of occurring, but cost a short delay. Strong training in using jacks will lead to a large reduction in all pit stops. You've got tyre changes, improving the speed of replacing tyres during a pit stop and reduces the likelihood of tyre fitting mistakes. They have a low likelihood, but cost a long delay. So it's kind of that thing again of risk versus reward. Like the front and rear jacks, if you have a failure, will cost you next to nothing. But if you have a tyre failure change or a tyre delay, it's going to cost you a lot more time. Wing adjustments as well, they have a high likelihood of occurring when replacing a front wing. So again, if your drivers are pretty good at staying out of trouble, you shouldn't really need wing adjustment too much. And then car release as well, it's got a high likelihood of occurring, however, only a moderate delay. So again, it's getting that delay, and it depends on what you want. You can't change their maintenance costs at the moment. So yeah, you can scout who you want as well. Now, really cool thing to scout. Race engineers, you've got Pete Bonington, for example, you know, Lewis's engineer. You got all the way down. You can see their overall ratings. They may well change. Again, this was filmed before the game was released. So you can see as well, like, you've got like F2 engineers down here. Maybe you want to go for some F2, bring them back up, you know, see how they get on. There's a few down here that are actually worse than the F2 engineers, supposedly. You've got some relatively good rated F3 ones as well, not too far away. That's kind of a brief, quick overview of what to expect when you jump in to the staff management. Let me know how you guys get on. Let me know which teams you're going for. Are you going to be firing any staff? Are you going to be hiring any staff? Do you want to bring Pete Bonington over from Mercedes to another team? Might cost you a pretty penny, but it could be worth it. Let me know how you guys are getting on with F1 Manager anyway, and I'll see you soon.